Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, what's on tap for today? Well, we are going to be talking about a story, folks, that it's just, again, it's the hypocrites in Hollywood, hypocrites in sports, hypocrites in academia, in the public sector, in the private sector, whatever it is. This is about Stephen Curry and his wife Aisha, and they have stepped into it a little bit because basic what they're saying is, hey, you can't build affordable housing, not in our backyard. Oh, we're all for affordable housing. We're all for social justice. We're all for equality. We're all for income equality and diversity. But keep it away from our neighborhoods. Folks, we're going to get into all of that. We've got a little piece, a video from when the Currys did a advertising spot for the Democratic National Committee with their two adorable children. We're going to play that for you. Stick around to the end of the video because what I'm going to do is do a little reaction to that little video and then give you some of the background information as to what's going on. We're going to get into all of that in the next few seconds. But before we do so, if it's your first time here, you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Nasir. Hit that notification bell, like, share, and subscribe. I know we're going to get a lot of comments on this, folks. So let's get to that video right now. I mean, that was a pretty, I mean, you put the kids inside. Their kids are absolutely adorable. They're so precious. They're beautiful children. And I like Stephen Curry and I like his wife Aisha. I mean, he's a great basketball player. Politically wise, okay, we're like worlds apart. But you know what? I mean, who hasn't had a situation like that? I mean, they're multimillionaires. Okay, they have the same type of situational things that happen to us. That's what basically brings everybody together. That's what humanity is all about. So there they are filming this commercial for the Democratic National Party. And I don't know what she's doing. She's like, I mean, Aisha, she's in a bathrobe. Okay. I mean, it's just so weird. Anyways, so and she's obviously a little, that's that embarrassing laugh because her child says she can't keep quiet. She's got to go to the bathroom. And on top of that, they're sprinkling in, okay, their political motives and sort of their social justice warrior ideas and whatever. And that's all great. But what I want to do is just basically go back, rewind this, and just give a few comments on what Aisha is sort of doing all the talking about, other than Stefan just say that we're gonna vote for Joe Biden this time. All right, so let me wind this thing back, and we'll do a little reaction to it, and then we're gonna go in the background of where this is happening, why it's happening, what the Currys are saying, and where the hypocrisy is in all this. All right, so let's get to that next cut.
We want to ensure that our kids live in a nation that is safe, happy, healthy, and fair. And so
Safe, happy, healthy, and fair. Hey, we all want that. Everybody that's around the world, safe, happy, healthy, and fair, right? Who wouldn't want that for their children? Multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, just regular average American folk, low income, middle income, right? Middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class. I mean, everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants to be fair. But they're talking rarefied air for these folks. It's sort of like, rules for thee, but not for we. That's what Aisha is talking about. That's what Stephen Curry is talking about here, where they're blocking the fact that they want to put in like low income housing apartment complexes, literally right next to their $31 million mansion. That's what these guys are, right? But they all want it. They're all saying all the right things. Social justice warriors, right? Hey, we're all for affordable housing. We're all for affordable this. We're all for diversity. We're all for inclusion. We're all for, you know, everything okay to be equitable. But, oh, you mean right next to me? Oh, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. Anyways, let's continue.
this election,
We're voting for Joe Biden. Let's have a conversation with these kids.
let's do it.
So, let's jump right in, shall we?
What does jump in mean?
Go for it.
Mommy, I can't be quiet.
Why?
Okay.
I mean, come on now, folks. That's just absolutely precious. I mean, right, you don't have to be a millionaire, okay, to understand that situation. with your children. It's happened to all of us, right? When children are little, they say the darndest things. And that's what sort of makes this commercials a little likable, I guess. I mean, put politics aside, it's just a little glimpse into the family. I think that's great that they put that in there. That's the way it should be. But the other thing is you have to be careful a little bit, using children in political advertisements, and they're young. So there is that thing that you have to be a little careful about or whatever. But I just thought I'm glad that they kept that in. Anyways, let's continue.
I don't want you to be quiet. You deserve to speak and say whatever it is that comes to your mind.
You know what? That's a very powerful statement from her mother, teaching her daughters that they need to speak. I mean, you're right. I mean, but that's a very powerful lesson, that's going on right now. So in that regard, hey, kudos. Kudos to you, Aisha, okay, for, saying that. All right, let's continue now.
In this moment, right now.
Every election is important. This upcoming election is especially important. One, because the social injustices right now, racial inequality, but
Social injustices, racial equality, income equality, talking all about that, right? I mean, in terms of this thing here. So Aisha's doing all the talking. I really don't know everything that I've heard about from Stephen Curry and whatever. It does seem to be that he's, quite progressive, liberal. So I don't know if that's just coming from, you know, Aisha's side and he's just sort of saying, okay, all right, fine. Or if he actually holds his vows, he probably does or whatever. But, this whole thing is centering back upon the fact that they basically petitioning the council in Atherton, the suburb, very, very rarefied, very wealthy area where I think an acre goes for like $8 to $9 or $10 million an acre just for the land itself. And the homes are multi-million-dollar, mansion homes. And listen, hey, that's great. That's capitalism. That's America. That's sports. Stephen Curry's making a ton of money. Hey, God bless him. Makes as much more, even more and more. It doesn't matter. He's doing something that very, very few people can do. God has given him an unbelievably great gift, and he's utilizing his great. And I think he utilizes it and does well. All right. And he's a man of God. He's a family man. He's just is just politically, hey, different views. That's fine. That's America. But what they're talking about here, though, is we're talking about sort of like the hypocrisy that comes from these people that portray themselves to be, right up at the very top, and that they're looking out for everybody, looking out for the marginalized people, looking out for minorities, looking out for the downtrodden, looking out for the poor and the homeless and all of this. But then when push comes to shove, right, what happens? Yeah, everything's fine, but sort of not near me. Do it over on your side. Dr. Shaikh, you can build that in your area, not just in ours. And listen, I have to say that there is that hypocrisy in all of us. For example, I'm all for nuclear energy. Okay, all sort any type of energy, that's fine, nuclear energy. But if all of a sudden the town council or somebody were to say, hey, Dr. Nasir, we're going to be building, the nuclear waste plant in your backyard, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to be petitioning that board and saying, not in my backyard, you're not going to do it. And then I'm going to be hit with that label. Hey, I am for nuclear, but not in my backyard. I mean, can't we build it someplace else? I mean, so I think that's in a way to be fair. But the thing is that in these types of things, when they're talking about diversity, inclusion, equity, that's where I think they fall very, very short in terms of this. And that's where the hypocrisy comes in. Because listen, if you state it and you say it, you've got to play it, right? Anyways, let's get to some of the background information. We'll get to that, okay, in this next cut. So as you can see here, folks, he says, not in our backyard. He opposition on for the poor on a site near his multi-million-dollar home because they have major privacy and safety concerns. They're talking about building a 3-story townhomes that are going to be basically, maybe above their property lines, all right? They're talking about 16 townhouses being built directly behind their yard. He's saying that if they continue to do, at a minimum, they're asking that huge tall fences be included in the development plan as a minimum because they don't want people being able to be taking, pictures from that side. The other thing that they're talking about too is that they sent a letter to the Atherton Council opposing the project. And this is, as I said before, a very, very wealthy, rarefied air California neighborhood. They said in their letter that the housing project would pose a threat to safety and privacy of them and their kids, noting that the location and the height of the townhouses, the residents would have views up over top into their $31 million mansion. Now, again, I thought we were talking about diversity, inclusion, equity, fairness, right? Fairness in income, fairness in housing, fairness in income. And that's where Democrats, that's where progressives, that's where these liberals, that's where it happens when all of a sudden they get hit with the big H, the hypocrisy sign, because they talk a good game, but then when it actually comes push to shove, no siree, poses a threat to safety and security. Oh, are we saying that the low income people that are coming inside there, whatever, they're going to be robbers and muggers and thieves? Is that what they're saying? I mean, is that code word here? I mean, if this was somebody else saying this, all right, if there's somebody white saying this, oh my goodness, can you imagine what would be going on? Now, others say the neighbors have also spoken about this that live there in these multi-million-dollar homes. And as I said before, an acre of land is going up for almost $8 million. So supposedly, here's the picture. This is the Curry home right here, I believe, their complex. And this is the land across here where they're talking about, I believe, if I'm looking at this in this picture that's out here. And they talk about, they've been following along, and they call it the housing element with updates, with a special interest in that Oakwood property, which is 23 Oakwood property. And they go on to say that they hesitate to add the not in our backyard rhetoric all over again. But he said, we wanted to send a note before today's meeting. Safety and privacy for us and our kids continue to be top priority and one of the biggest reasons we chose Atherton as home. Hey, not everybody has the ability to go into a rarefied multi-million-dollar community where the homes are upwards into the tens and 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s millions of dollars. Now, at a minimum, you have to say, the Curry said that they said if you decide to build these new homes, include taller fencing, extensive landscaping that would block views into their property. Now, the town council decided to develop the lot after facing pressure because what's going on up in California? You know what's happening over there for the left coast, the communist coast. Of course it's going on there. Gavin Newsom and everybody out there in California, they want to comply with the state's affordable housing plan. And that state's affordable housing plan is, guess what? Let's develop 348 units in communities across different income levels. They want to do this over the next 8 years, folks. And so this was a 1.5 acre plot, and the the property owner, David Arata, he got this property from his parents, and he decided to say, I'm going to cash out $8 to $10 million, an acre almost. That's going to be somewhere, $10 to $15 million that he's going to put in his pocket. Hey, good for him. He wants to cash out on that property. He wants to go and get a house, and he's going to probably go someplace where, guess what? They're not going to be able to build these type of, low rent or, low income apartment housing properties or whatever. But anyways, folks, that's what this is. It's always come down to rules for thee, but not for we. It sounds good when you're talking, but then when push comes to shove, Do you actually do what you say you were going to do? Or do you go back on it like so many leftists, so many progressives, so many moderates, so many academics? They do it all the time. You see this happening all the time with these social justice warriors and uh, just liberals and leftists. It's hard to count on anymore how many times this thing occurs, but that's what happens. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. Hope you enjoyed it. And you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us. Hit that notification bell, comment, let us know what you think. Do you agree with the Currys, or do you basically say, hey, typical Hollywood, typical Flash, typical sports figures, typical elites. You know what? Rules for thee, not for we. Anyways, I'll leave you with my final thoughts, which are when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. And also when you're left, you're hypocrites. We'll see you next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.